Andor might not be your typical Star Wars show with lightsabers and Jedi appearing every few minutes, but it's become one of the most beloved series in the franchise. Today we're diving deep into the years before the Battle of Yavin and bringing you the facts behind the show. Today, Stan Lee presents 107 Facts about Andor. Number 1. Disney CEO Bob Iger first announced Andor in November of 2018 as a live-action, rousing spy thriller for the upcoming Disney Plus streaming service. The series would follow rebel spy Cassian Andor during the Rebellion's formative years, which was pre-Rogue One, with Diego Luna set to reprise his role. Luna said returning to the Star Wars universe in this new format was very special and would allow them to explore this character more deeply on a show. Oh my god, trust me, when they first announced this, a lot of people were like, Cassian Andor, who? Who is this? And now I feel like Andor is such a beloved character. It's crazy how much things have changed since this was first announced. Fact 2. Andor was envisioned as a gritty, ground-level spy story, deliberately smaller in scale than the saga films. The series was positioned as a second Star Wars live-action show for Disney Plus after The Mandalorian, aimed at expanding the franchise's genre range. From the start, Lucasfilm emphasized that Andor would be tonally different, focusing on espionage, morally gray characters, and the everyday struggle against the Empire, rather than Jedi and lightsabers. Number 3. The show's development had a showrunner shakeup early on. In 2018, Stephen Schiff, executive producer on The Americans, was originally hired as showrunner. However, by 2019, Lucasfilm brought in Tony Gilroy, the Oscar-nominated screenwriter who had co-written and reshaped Rogue One, to take the reins. Gilroy replaced Schiff as showrunner, while Schiff remained in the writer's room, a move first reported by The Hollywood Reporter. Gilroy was also set to write and direct several episodes under this new arrangement. Number 4. Tony Gilroy's return to the Star Wars universe was somewhat unexpected. He had famously been a fixer on Rogue One, directing reshoots and reworking the screenplay, but wasn't initially clamoring to do a TV series. In fact, Gilroy later admitted he stepped in initially just to write a pilot and a Bible. But Lucasfilm kept expanding his role until it was effectively in charge of the entire show. By early 2020, it was official. Gilroy would serve as Andor's showrunner, head writer, and even planned to direct early episodes. Number 5. Gilroy was reluctant at first and nearly walked away when the COVID-19 pandemic hit. Quote, "There was a period of time where I really wanted the show to die," he confessed. When production shut down in 2020, Gilroy took it as a sign that he might be off the hook. Quote, "When COVID came, I thought, oh, thank God. COVID will kill the show, and I won't have to do it." He admits he, quote, "didn't know what he was doing at all." At the start, the scope of the Star Wars series was overwhelming, but in hindsight, the pandemic pause let the team regroup and figure out a sustainable way to make the show. Number 6. It took Kathleen Kennedy's persuasion to keep Andor alive. Gilroy says the Lucasfilm president essentially seduced him into it and protected the show at every turn. Kennedy gave Gilroy a lot of freedom to go darker and more mature. Quote, "When we started challenging Kathy just kept saying yes," Tony recalled. For example, he told her, quote, "I'm going to put the first scene in a brothel." Her response, "Okay." "I'm going to have them kill 2 cops." "Okay." "We want the production designer from Chernobyl." "Okay, good idea." Kennedy backed their creative choices and fought to force it to happen, as Gilroy put it. Number 7. Gilroy credits Kathleen Kennedy for making the show possible. "There's no show without her," he said, noting that for all the flack Kennedy gets online, she was instrumental in Andor's bold decision. Kennedy's support meant Gilroy could push the boundaries, like depicting a brothel and brutality, that might have been vetoed under a more cautious regime. Lucasfilm's top brass essentially bet on Gilroy's vision, and it resulted in arguably the most critically acclaimed Star Wars series to date. Andor stands as a testament to Kennedy's willingness to let creators take risks in the franchise. Number 8. Gilroy assembled a small army of high-caliber writers for Andor. The writing team included his brother Dan Gilroy, writer-director of Nightcrawler, Beau Willimon, creator of House of Cards, and Stephen Schiff himself. This all-star roster brought serious dramatic chops. Gilroy served as head writer, but each of those writers penned certain episodes. For example, Willimon wrote the Aldhani arc episodes and co-wrote the prison arc, while Dan Gilroy tackled the middle episodes, etc. Having veteran screenwriters on board gave Andor a more cinematic, layered quality to its scripts, quite unlike typical TV writers' rooms. Number 9. At first, Andor was planned to be a 5-season epic covering 5 years of Cassian's life. Quote, "The Rogue One prequel was originally billed as a 5-season journey," Gilroy said. But as the team started plotting it out, they realized we had no idea what we were getting into in terms of workload. 5 seasons would have taken nearly a decade. Gilroy quickly saw it was physically impossible. "We couldn't do it. It would take too long," he explained. So out of necessity, they compressed the story. Gilroy now admits, "No, I wouldn't want to do the 5 seasons. I'm glad we veered from that." Number 10. Season 2's unique structure was born from that compression. Instead of 5 seasons, they planned the second and final season to cover the remaining 4 years before Rogue One. Gilroy devised an unusual format. Season 2 is split into 4 arcs of 3 episodes, with each arc jumping ahead roughly a year in time. "It's like 4 separate films," Gilroy said. "Essentially 4 mini-stories that leap forward in Cassian's journey. This narrative experiment was born out of desperation," he joked, but became an exciting creative challenge. They even tested it by writing the transitional scenes to ensure audiences could follow the time skips. Number 11. The COVID-19 pandemic hit Andor just as it was gearing up to film in 2020, causing major adjustments. Tony Gilroy had intended to direct the pilot and some episodes himself to, quote, set the tone. But when COVID travel restrictions made it safe for him in New York to fly to the UK shoot, he stepped aside from directing. Instead, Toby Haynes, known for Black Mirror, was brought in to direct the first 3 episodes. Haynes was already on a shortlist to direct later, so he eagerly took over the opening arc. Gilroy stayed overall in charge remotely. But Haynes on the ground in the UK crafted the show's visual style in those crucial opening chapters. And I know those chapters are kind of regarded as a bit slow. It would have been interesting to see how Gilroy would have directed those episodes. Number 12. Andor distinguished itself as the first Star Wars series not to use the volume, which was a stagecraft LED wall tech that Disney was using for a lot of their shows at the time. Quote, "We didn't use stagecraft at all," Gilroy confirmed. "Yep, we're old school." Instead, the production built real sets and shot on real locations whenever possible. This was partly a stylistic choice to give the show extra realism and grit. It's a notable departure from The Mandalorian and The Kenobi show, which heavily used LED backdrops. By foregoing stagecraft, Andor relied on traditional set building, location shots, and green screen, which Gilroy believes helped the show feel more tangible and grounded. And in my opinion, and a lot of opinions online, it looks amazing. Number 13. The production design was massive and practical. For the planet Ferrix, the team constructed an entire open-air town set in a quarry in Little Marlow, Buckinghamshire, England. They built dozens of storefronts, streets, alleys, a full 360-degree environment so cameras could shoot any angle. After filming, the set was dismantled. It was on rented land, of course, but locals got to witness a Star Wars town in their backyard for a few months. Using a real large set allowed actors to fully immerse and gave Ferrix a uniquely authentic vibe, with real dust, real sun in the sky, etc., unlike a digital volume environment. Number 14. The production also trekked to remote locations for authenticity. The spectacular Highlands of Scotland doubled as the planet Aldhani. In fact, the Cruachan Dam in the Scottish Highlands was used as the imperial base on Aldhani, chosen for its looming angular architecture. The Andor team noted the dam even evokes Darth Vader's mask when seen head-on, a deliberate visual metaphor of the Empire imposed on a natural landscape. Diego Luna recalled filming there. Quote, "We had to walk for hours up a mountain to set up one shot. All you can see around you is sky, trees, rivers, lakes. Amazing, like being on another planet. The hardship paid off with breathtaking, reality-grounded scenery on screen." Number 15. Diego Luna not only reprised Cassian Andor, but also served as an executive producer on Andor. This gave him say on creative decisions and a deeper involvement than a typical acting gig. Luna was excited to revisit Cassian, saying, "We have a fantastic adventure ahead of us. This new format will give us a chance to explore this character more deeply." He appreciated having input behind the scenes. As an EP, Luna was involved in discussions from casting to scripts. He even directed second unit shots on occasion. Playing Cassian across 24 episodes let Luna shape a nuanced arc, and he said that having that creative voice made the project the most fulfilling experience of his career. Number 16. Genevieve O'Reilly returns as Mon Mothma, bringing nearly 2 decades of history with the character. O'Reilly was originally cast as Mon Mothma for a scene in 2005's Revenge of the Sith that was ultimately deleted. She then portrayed Mon in Rogue One, back in 2016, and even voiced her in Star Wars Rebels. By the time of Andor, O'Reilly had inhibited Mon Mothma on and off for 17 years. Quote, "When I first stepped into the role in 2005, I rewatched Caroline Blackiston's scene from Return of the Jedi, noting how honored she was to continue that legacy. In Andor, Mon finally gets extensive screen time and depth, a challenge O'Reilly embraced, having loved the character since her brief 1983 debut." Number 17. Gilroy wrote Mon Mothma's storyline to be a parallel protagonist to Cassian's. Season 1 shows Mon clandestinely sparring in the Senate and struggling with family issues, while Season 2 pushes her to the brink of open rebellion. O'Reilly relished this expanded role. She worked closely with Tony Gilroy on key scenes. For instance, she and Gilroy ensured that Mon's Senate speech in Season 2, where Mon condemns the Empire, was shown uncut and in its full power. O'Reilly said after playing Mon as a background leader in Rogue One, getting to explore her intimate, painful sacrifices in Andor was a revelation. Critics have noted Mon Mothma's arc as one of the richest portrayals of a politician in Star Wars. Fact 18. When signing on, Stellan Skarsgård, who plays new character Luthen Rael, had one request: don't lock him in for too long. Gilroy actually promised Skarsgård that if, in the original 5-season plan, Stellan only wanted to do 2, I'd kill him after 2 seasons. In other words, Luthen would have a limited run. Gilroy always imagined Luthen as a meteor blazing through the story. Impactful, but not long-lived. I knew I wanted him to have a shelf life, Gilroy said. Season 1 Luthen is in aggressive build-up mode, and by Season 2, things start to unravel for him. Gilroy hinted that even in early concepts, Luthen was never meant to survive into the original trilogy era, which helped convince Skarsgård to come aboard for his finite but juicy role. Number 19. Luthen Rael is a composite of real-world revolutionaries. Gilroy describes Luthen's ideology as accelerationist. He's a guy who wants to make things as bad as possible so people rise up. In history, figures like Mao Zedong espouse similar ideas that heightened oppression can spur revolution. Gilroy mentioned Benjamin Franklin's role in the American Revolution as an arms connector, and also alluded to revolutionaries who burn the field down, starve our own people so that they revolt. Luthen represents that extreme philosophy within the rebellion. He believes sacrificing lives and morality is necessary to spark the greater fight. Skarsgård was fascinated by this brutal pragmatism. It culminates in Luthen's famous "I burn my life to make a sunrise" speech, which distills his accelerationist ethos. Number 20. Andor smartly weaves in characters from other Star Wars media when they serve the story. One example is Saw Gerrera, played by Forrest Whitaker, who appears in both seasons as an extremist rebel leader. Gilroy included Saw to illustrate the factionalism of the early rebellion. How difficult is it for the Rebel Alliance to come together with all the outliers and original gangsters? Gilroy said, referring to characters like Saw. Saw's scenes with Luthen show ideological clashes. Saw is unwilling to cooperate with other rebel groups, calling them separatists, neo-republican, galaxy partitionists, etc. This mirrors real revolution histories where disparate rebel factions barely trust each other. Plus, Saw Gerrera is a through line from Clone Wars to Rogue One, so including him grounds Andor in the wider saga without stealing focus. He's used sparingly, of course, but impactfully. Number 21. Perhaps the biggest casting surprise of Season 1 was Andy Serkis. Serkis, known to Star Wars fans as Supreme Leader Snoke in the sequel trilogy, returned in Andor as an entirely different character, Kino Loy, the prison floor manager. Serkis was initially trepidatious about coming back because he knew fans would spin wild theories. Oh no, are they gonna think Kino's Snoke? He worried. Gilroy assured him Kino Loy had nothing to do with Snoke. It's a separate role in a separate era. Once convinced, Serkis jumped at it, saying he loved Rogue One and was a fan of Gilroy's grounded approach. The result? Serkis delivered a powerhouse performance in the Narkina 5 arc. And yes, he confirmed that Snoke and Kino were unrelated. Sometimes the same actor just plays 2 roles in the galaxy. A tradition in Star Wars dating back to reuse of voices and stunt actors. But that didn't stop people from theorizing that Kino Loy would become Snoke, despite solid evidence that this was not true at all. I love like dumb theories like that where it's just like, oh yeah, they fell into the water and got, and their face started to melt, to hence why he's Snoke. It's like so silly, but it's a fun time sometimes. Number 22. Andor features an extensive ensemble of new characters portrayed by top-tier actors. For example, veteran Irish actor Fiona Shaw plays Marva Andor, Cassian's adopted mother. Shaw, known for killing Eve and as Aunt Petunia in Harry Potter, imbued Marva with warmth and quiet strength, and delivered one of the show's most moving moments with Marva's posthumous speech. The cast also includes Denise Goh as Icy ISB's supervisor Dedra Miro and Kyle Soller as the twitchy ex-corporate officer Cyril Karn. Both accomplished stage actors. Andor's casting director specifically sought out actors with gravitas and theater backgrounds to handle Tony Gilroy's dense, nuanced scripts. This paid off critically. Even supporting roles like Nemik or Sergeant Mosk made strong impressions. Number 23. From the outset, Andor signaled it would be more adult and politically sophisticated than past Star Wars fare. Critics have called it an exceptionally mature and political entry into the Star Wars mythos, noting the absence of cute aliens or forced mysticism. The show is grounded in espionage, bureaucracy, and the psychology of oppression, topics more akin to a prestige drama. Fans and reviewers alike praised Andor for expanding the franchise's tonal range. It asks viewers to grapple with moral ambiguity and systemic evil in a way previous installments rarely did. By diving into the lives of ordinary people during the Empire's peak, Andor brings a level of realism to Star Wars that's fresh and compelling. Number 24. One of the show's early departures from Star Wars norms, Andor literally opens in a brothel. In the very first scene of Episode 1, Cassian enters a seedy pleasure house on Morlana 1, complete with dim lights and suggestive alien hosts. This is a first for the franchise. No Star Wars movie or series had explicitly shown a brothel before. Tony Gilroy revealed he told Kathleen Kennedy upfront about the brothel idea and she didn't flinch. It's a quick scene but sets the tone that Andor's world was more gritty and adult, where even our hero's journey can start in a red light district. The choice underscores Andor's commitment to depicting the unsavory underbelly of the galaxy under Imperial rule. Number 25. Andor breaks new ground in language too. It features the first real curse word in Star Wars. In Episode 3, during the Ferrix fight, Sergeant Mosk shouts, "Shit! We're under siege!" as things go south. That four-letter word had never been spoken in Star Wars on screen until then. Previously, we'd heard mild swears like hell, or fictional expletives like criff or poodoo. Gilroy included it to add realism to the panicked reaction. Amusingly, he even wanted to go further. There was an idea for Marva's final line to be "fuck the Empire" instead of "fight the Empire," but they knew that F-bomb would never get past Disney's standards. Still, Andor's willingness to drop a shit marked a tonal shift, one noticed by fans and even reported by media as Star Wars quote-unquote making history with an explicit word. Number 26. The show gives Cassian Andor a new canonical backstory that cleverly fixes an old continuity detail. Prior to Andor, official lore from a reference book said Cassian hailed from the planet Fest. Andor, however, reveals his actual birthplace was Kenari, a tribal world that suffered an Imperial mining disaster. The apparent contradiction is resolved in story. Cassian claims to be from Fest as a cover identity. Imperial records list him as a Fest native since Kenari was quarantined and hushed up. This retcon was done seamlessly. Casual viewers wouldn't notice, but lore aficionados appreciated how Andor maintained continuity by making Fest an in-universe lie. It's a spy tale after all, and even Cassian's origin has layers of deception. Number 27. The Kenari flashbacks, young Cassian's story, in episodes 1 through 3 have a notable artistic choice. No subtitles are provided for the Kenari language. We see Cassian's tribe speaking an alien tongue, but the show never translates it. This was intentional. Tony Gilroy wanted viewers like Offworlders to not understand the Kenari kids, emphasizing their isolation. Interestingly, even turning on closed captioning won't give you a translation. It just says, "Speaking Kenari, speaking Kenari." The scenes are staged such that you can infer the gist without dialogue. It's a bold move that trusts the audience and adds to the realism, illustrating the cultural gap between Kenari and the rest of the galaxy. Gilroy felt that not everything needs to be explained through exposition, and the Kenari sequences exemplify that ethos. Number 28. If it feels like Andor has far fewer aliens than usual, you're not imagining it. That's by design. Tony Gilroy was cautious about using aliens, saying, "Yeah, I'm a little bit sensitive about it." He didn't want exotic creatures to pull focus or undermine the series' tone. Through season 1, almost every character is human, with a couple exceptions like the Dewey Pomular aliens in Yamos. Gilroy explained that aliens are a very strong flavor and you have to be really careful how you use them. They did include a little bit more alien presence in Season 2 than Season 1. For example, see the alien gurus in the Rebel recruitment scenes. But overall, Andor is the most human-centric Star Wars story ever. This choice heightened the sense that the rebellion struggle is a human and humanistic story at its core. Number 29. The series does an exceptional job depicting the banality of evil via the Empire's bureaucracy. Andor gives us our deepest look yet at the Imperial Security Bureau, or the ISB, essentially the Empire's FBI or KGB. The ISB scenes, all white uniforms and tense conference rooms, were inspired by Cold War spy thrillers and authoritarian regimes' bureaucracies. Denise Goh, who plays Dedra Miro, said she approached Dedra as a fiercely competent civil servant who happens to be serving evil. The show spans significant time on ISB meetings, data analysis, and power plays, which initially seems mundane but becomes utterly gripping. By detailing the inner workings of Imperial tyranny, far removed from Sith and superweapons, Andor makes the Empire feel chillingly realistic. Even minor ISB characters like Lonnie, the double agent, are fully realized, underscoring how a fascist system corrupts from the cubicle outward. Number 30. Dedra Meero emerged as one of Andor's standout characters, a cold, methodical ISB supervisor. Early on, viewers found themselves alarmed to be rooting for Dedra as she outmaneuvered lazy male colleagues, only to later be horrified by her ruthlessness on Ferrix. Denise Go crafted Dedra's demeanor to be icily professional. She noted that Dedra doesn't see herself as a villain. Dedra sincerely believes in order and is ambitious within the ISB's sexist hierarchy. Gilroy interestingly flips the script with Dedra. We watch her like an underdog protagonist in ISB meetings, then the show reminds us she's an antagonist by depicting her torturing Bix. Dedra's arc prompts the audience to examine why authoritarianism can be seductive. By season 2, Dedra becomes increasingly unstable, and Go delivers a terrified scream during the finale ride of season 1 when Dedra herself is nearly torn apart by the crowd, a rare moment of her mask cracking. Number 31. Andor's release strategy was also unconventional. It premiered with 3 episodes at once. On September 21, 2022, Disney Plus dropped episodes 1, 2, and 3 together, so that viewers could consume the entire opening Ferrix arc in one go. This was a deliberate move, because the first 2 episodes are a slow build, while episode 3 delivers the payoff and hook. Releasing all 3 mitigated the risk of audiences checking out early. It was basically a feature-length pilot. The 3 episodes together run about 120 minutes. Lucasfilm touted it as a franchise first, a 3-episode premiere making Star Wars streaming history. The approach was successful. By the end of episode 3, most viewers were fully on board with the show's tone and story. Number 32. One of Ferrix's most memorable local traditions is the Time Grappler, a character fans affectionately nicknamed the Bell Guy. In the mornings and evenings on Ferrix, a man climbs a bell tower and rhythmically strikes a massive anvil with 2 hammers to sound the time. It's a beautiful bit of in-universe culture. No one explicitly explains it in the show, but it tells you everything about Ferrix's working-class analog society. The sound design is great too. Those reverberating bongs signal shifts in the community's daily life, and later serve as a warning alarm when the Imperials attack. The Time Grappler even gets a heroic moment in the finale, Sparta kicking a stormtrooper off the tower. Fans love that Andor spent precious screen time with this flavor, showing how ordinary people mark time under the Empire without fancy tech, a little detail that made Ferrix feel incredibly real. And can I just say that I love how Andor has a lot of culture built into it. Like, it's funny. For example, in Rise of Skywalker, we go to that planet that I'm completely forgetting where they have that festival. I don't know anything about it, but for Ferrix and Aldhani and literally like all of these other planets, like, it's crazy how much culture and lore is put in, and I think it's because we have a lot of time spent on each of those planets that you really absorb that, and it fleshes this planet out even more than what you would see in the films. It's cool, it's crazy, and I love it. Number 33. Ferrix itself is unlike any Star Wars location we've seen. A dusty salvage colony with brick buildings, open streets, and scrapyards. Production designer Luke Hull drew inspiration from real-world industrial towns, incorporating oxidized metal and earthy tones everywhere. They even created a local custom where bricks are made incorporating the ashes of the deceased, hence Marva's brick. To film Ferrix, the crew constructed the set outdoors, so natural sunlight and weather add to the authenticity. Fun fact, the Ferrix set was so large that it included a working courtyard fountain and a network of alleys where the crew themselves could get lost. By building Ferrix rather than using digital backdrops, Andor achieved a "you are there" realism. You can practically smell the iron and dust. It's a far cry from the shiny, CGI-heavy cityscapes in other installments, and fans found Ferrix a refreshing, tangible environment. Number 34. A seemingly mundane prop became a viral talking point. Cyril Karn's blue milk cereal. In episode 5, Cyril sulks at his mother's table, eating brightly colored space cereal doused in blue milk, a mix of world building and dark humor. Actor Kyle Soller revealed that the art department actually asked about his favorite cereals, then presented him with the most amazing Star Wars Cocoa Pops and blue milk to eat on camera. Soller loved it. "That's proper Tatooine breakfast cereal, man," he laughed. The cereal, dubbed Crunchies in canon, symbolizes how Cyril's mom treats him like a child. It's literally a kid's breakfast. Across Cyril's scenes, he goes from eagerly munching the cereal to losing his appetite as his confidence crumbles. It's a quirky detail that both amused fans and served storytelling. Even breakfast is an intergenerational battleground in Andor. Number 35. The series doesn't shy away from showing the ruthless side of the rebellion's fight. The Aldhani heist in episode 6 is a high watermark. A rebel cell led by Vel robs the Imperial garrison's payroll. It's intense and costly. Some rebels die, and they take an innocent family, the Commandants, hostage during the escape. The mission is essentially the first blow of organized rebel insurgency in Andor. Its success, stealing about 80 million credits, has huge ripple effects. It provokes the Empire into harsher measures, which in turn fuels more rebellion. Gilroy compared it to a Pancho Villa raid, where a bold act of theft forces an oppressor's overreaction. The Aldhani arc also gave us spectacular visuals with the Eye meteor shower. Behind the scenes, the meteor storm was crafted with cutting-edge CGI blended with real time-lapse footage of auroras. Andor's team wanted it to look hypnotically beautiful yet chaotic, mirroring the episode's mix of wonder and violence. The Eye was beautiful. Like, watching the actual meteor shower in the show, I remember seeing it in the trailer and being like, what is this? What is happening? And when you finally see it in the show, it's like breathtaking. I think it's one of the best scenes in a Star Wars piece ever. Number 36. Episode 6, The Eye, is often cited as one of Andor's best, and it showcases the show's penchant for suspenseful slow burn leading to explosive payoff. Fun tidbit, that episode's director, Susanna White, is a fan of classical heist films. She had the actors watch movies like The Wild Bunch and The Treasure of the Sierra Madre for inspiration on group dynamics and betrayal. The tension within the rebel team, skeptical Skeen, idealistic Nemik, was as much the focus as the action. When Skeen's true colors are revealed, he suggests to Cassian they steal the money and run. It's a gut punch moment that Gilroy said was inspired by real-life guerrilla treacheries in history. Cassian shooting Skeen was a defining moment for his character's ethics. Andor consistently asks, how far will you go, and what won't you do? In that scene, Cassian draws his line. He won't betray the cause for greed, even as he remains morally gray. Number 37. The Narkina 5 prison arc, episodes 8 through 10, is a micro-story within Andor that drew widespread acclaim. It puts Cassian in an Imperial labor camp that is shockingly high-tech and inhumane. The floors are electrified, prisoners go barefoot, and they toil in 12-hour shifts assembling mystery machinery. Tony Gilroy revealed that they brainstormed this as the most nightmarish industrial prison, essentially a slave factory where the threat of pain replaces armed guards. The idea that the Empire sentences people to forced labor on fabricated charges, Cassian got 6 years just for being in the wrong place, drives home how oppressive Imperial rule is. Moreover, the prisoners compete in work teams for meager rewards, like tasting their food, which is a twisted carrot and stick method that turns inmates against each other. All of these details were carefully considered. Number 38. Andy Serkis shines in his prison arc as Kino Loy, the floor manager turned rebel leader. His rousing speech in episode 10, One Way Out, was so powerful that it became a viral monologue on social media. The episode's script, by Beau Willimon, earned an Emmy nomination for Outstanding Writing. Serkis delivered Kino's speech in a single take on set, with the extras, all those prisoners, reacting in real time. Some were genuinely tearing up, channeling their characters' desperation. Interestingly, Serkis and Luna improvised the timing of the final leap from the platform. The script didn't specify how Kino reveals he can't swim. Serkis decided to play Kino as almost in denial, shouting "One Way Out" with the others until the last possible moment, then quietly admitting, "I can't swim," which broke Cassian's heart and the audience's too. It's a testament to Andor's writing and performance that a one-arc character like Kino Loy left such a lasting impact. Number 39. The prison escape sequence was an enormous production challenge. They filmed it in a huge water tank for the shots of prisoners jumping out and swimming. Over 100 stunt performers and extras had to leap from a 30-foot set into water repeatedly. Also, the set of the prison control room where Kino and Cassian confront the guards was built on a gimbal so it could shake when they cut the power. Gilroy had instructed production designer Luke Hull back in Season 1 to save pieces of the Narkina set for Season 2, since Season 2 shows the aftermath with Dedra. However, the set was so large and expensive, they couldn't preserve much. They had to rebuild a portion of Season 2's scenes. Gilroy joked that the Empire would quickly cannibalize and repurpose the prison anyway. Dedra's fate of ending up in Narkina, revealed in Season 2, poetically uses the same setting to demonstrate karmic justice. The hunter becomes the prisoner. Number 40. A strikingly dark detail in the prison arc, the Empire isn't just exploiting prison labor, it's willing to massacre prisoners to cover up mistakes. In episode 9, we learn an entire level of inmates was killed because the Empire accidentally reassigned a released man to another floor. This horrifies Kino, and is the turning point that convinces him to join Cassian's breakout. Gilroy has said that plot point was crucial to show the Empire's absolute cruelty and how its bureaucracy leads to atrocities. That incident is based on real accounts from totalitarian regimes where disappeared prisoners or camp secrets were silenced with mass killings. It's heavy stuff for Star Wars, but it grounds the rebellion's cause in very high stakes. As Kino puts it, no one's getting out, meaning if they don't rebel, they'll die there anyway. It's this despair that fuels the prison uprising, making it as emotionally compelling as it is thrilling. Number 41. Even though Andor generally skews Easter eggs, one piece of classic Star Wars lore is central to the finale, the Death Star. In a surprising post-credit scene after the Season 1 finale, we see an army of tiny droids assembling the huge focusing dish of the Death Star's super laser. It's then revealed that the parts the Narkina prisoners were building are components of that dish, meaning Cassian and others unknowingly helped construct the weapon that will one day kill Cassian himself. Gilroy said they conceived that idea early. Oh, they should be building the Death Star. You know what? We ought to show that. The VFX team loved creating that shot, which mirrors the show's opening title, the Andor logo that resembles the Death Star's outline. This stinger also beautifully ties Andor directly into Rogue One, showing that even as our heroes win small victories, the Empire's ultimate project looms in the background. Number 42. Season 2 picks up 1 year after Season 1 with the timeline around 4 BBY and spans the next 4 years. Gilroy explained that Season 1 was about Cassian becoming a rebel, and by Season 2, Cassian is no longer a reluctant revolutionary. He's all in. The storytelling shifts from personal awakening to the broader Rebel Alliance forming. Gilroy teased that Season 2 explores how difficult it is for the Rebel Alliance to come together, different agendas and betrayals, the tension of the next 4 years. In other words, Season 2 is about the messy, often morally compromised process of uniting various rebel cells into a cohesive fight. This more ensemble approach means we'll spend more time with multiple rebel groups. Saw Gerrera's partisans, Mon Mothma's network, Luthen's spies, etc., each with their own methods and conflicts. A narrative mosaic that leads to the Rebel Alliance we know in Rogue One. Number 43. Season 2's 4-arc structure allowed the writers to cover a lot of ground quickly. Each 3-episode arc was treated almost like a film, often with the same director for all 3. For example, Ariel Clayman directs the first block, Janice Metz the second, etc. Gilroy and his team actually wrote the opening and closing scenes of each arc first to make sure the time jumps would be clear. They essentially created mini-season finales at episodes 3, 6, 9, before the grand finale in episode 12. Stellan Skarsgård said this format was liberating as an actor. You always jump a lot in time, but Andor's team found it exciting and energizing to write. Number 44. Fans were eager for the return of K2SO, Cassian's droid sidekick from Rogue One. However, Andor held K2 back until the time was right. Alan Tudyk, who voices K2, had revealed early on that K2SO wouldn't appear in Season 1. The timeline didn't make sense yet. Gilroy did plan a significant K2 introduction in Season 2. In fact, he revealed that episode 209 was originally a standalone K2 episode written by his brother Dan, an amazing episode that was almost like a horror movie, where Cassian would encounter and reprogram a KX series droid during a scary mission. This involved a stranded Imperial ship and a lone KX droid hunting the rebels aboard, a monster movie homage. Unfortunately, it was too expensive and was scrapped during pre-production. They had to consolidate K2SO's introduction into the main storyline instead. While that scrapped episode saddened the Gilroys and Tudyk, who was excited for more screen time, budget constraints forced them to be creative and bring K2 in differently. Number 45. Rest assured, K2SO does join the story in Season 2. Without spoiling exactly how, Cassian will cross paths with a KX security droid and turn it into the snarky ally we meet in Rogue One. Tony Gilroy knew this moment was a big one for fans, so even though the standalone episode got cut, they made K2's introduction memorable in a new way. Alan Tudyk came in to record new dialogue as K2, and yes, the droid retains his sarcastic personality. Tudyk joked in interviews that he was practicing walking like a droid again to get back into character. By the end of Andor, viewers will understand how Cassian and K2SO became such a tight duo, a friendship literally forged from Imperial machinery. And it adds extra poignancy rewatching Rogue One, knowing their backstory spans from Andor's events to the final mission on Scarif. Number 46. Season 2 sees the return of director Orson Krennic, the main villain from Rogue One. Ben Mendelsohn reprised his role as Krennic, filming a key scene, or scenes, for Andor. It marks Krennic's first live-action appearance since 2016. One scene, without giving too much away, involves Krennic in an Imperial meeting discussing the Death Star project, although he doesn't really mention the Death Star. Interestingly, this ties into a fun bit of lore. Fans have theorized that an empty chair at the Death Star conference table in A New Hope was Krennic's seat. He of course dies in Rogue One just before that. Andor doesn't overtly address that, but by bringing Krennic in, it shows he was this close to the original trilogy's events. Mendelsohn was delighted to return. He reportedly slipped seemingly back into Krennic's snide drawl on set. "Krennic is back, baby," he joked with the crew. Number 47. We also get Bail Organa in Season 2, a pivotal Rebel founder. While Jimmy Smits wasn't able to film new scenes, the character of Bail Organa does appear, with a new actor instead. Gilroy felt Bail's presence was important as context for Mon Mothma's storyline. Gilroy has said that Andor strives to respect continuity. Characters like Bail or General Dodonna might not be central in Andor, but the show acknowledges that they're out there, working in parallel with Luthen and Mon Mothma's efforts. Number 48. Mon Mothma's journey grows even more perilous in Season 2. By the end of Season 1, Mon agreed to something unthinkable, arranging her daughter's betrothal to Davos Skalden's son, essentially selling her daughter into an aristocratic match, in exchange for clandestine help with rebel funds. Genevieve O'Reilly said the development made her feel sick with complication for Mon, because it showed how far Mon would compromise her personal life for the rebellion. In Season 2, we actually see the consequences. There's an emotionally fraught Chandrilan wedding ceremony that Mon has to endure, watching her teenage daughter participate in a custom she despises. O'Reilly and director Janice Metz approached those scenes very carefully, portraying Mon's silent anguish beneath her political smile. It's rare in Star Wars to delve into a character's family and cultural traditions, arranged marriage no less, and Andor using that to illustrate Mon Mothma's sacrifice was widely praised as brilliant writing. It humanizes the rebel leader known for her dignified presence by showing the painful personal cost she bears. Number 49. Season 2 also delivers Mon Mothma's "I'm Spartacus" moment in the Imperial Senate. Trailers have hinted, and episodes later confirmed, that Mon gives a fiery anti-Imperial speech on the Senate floor. This is essentially the moment Mon publicly breaks from the Empire. Genevieve O'Reilly was reportedly anxious and excited to film it. It's Mon's biggest public address since the prequels. They shot it in the same Senate set used for the Kenobi series, with some modifications. Mon's speech calls out Emperor Palpatine by name and decrees the injustices happening across the galaxy, specifically with the one in Gorman. According to O'Reilly, the extras and crew present during the filming broke into spontaneous applause after one take, even though in the scene, Mon is met with jeers and her mic being cut off. For Mon Mothma, this is her point of no return. Gilroy wanted the audience to feel the weight off her shoulders as she finally says out loud what she's been thinking, even though it puts her in extreme danger. Number 50. One of the most controversial Season 2 developments involves Vel Sertha and Cinta Kaz, the rebel lovers introduced in Season 1. Tragically, Cinta is killed during a mission in Season 2 on Gorman, and Gilroy was aware of the bury your gays trope and knew some viewers would be upset, but he defended the choice as true to the story's stakes. "If I'm going to treat the relationship like any other, then I have to be willing to put them in danger like any other," he argued. Cinta's death comes at a point where many things go wrong for the rebellion, underscoring that not everyone makes it to the finish line. Actress Varada Sethu, who plays Cinta, was reportedly saddened but understanding. She said the fact that fans were so hurt by Cinta's death meant they really cared about the character and her relationship with Vel. Gilroy hoped viewers would see it not as a dismissive trope, but as a sign of Andor's commitment to equal opportunity tragedy in war. Number 51. Dedra Meero's arc in Season 2 takes a karmic turn. The hunter becomes the trapped prey. In a twist of fate, Dedra ends up imprisoned in the same Narkina 5 labor camp she once oversaw, after being scapegoated by the Empire when her sector's security fell apart. You know, because she got a little bloated in the head and tried to go after, Luthen. Gilroy calls it a fate worse than death for Dedra. She's sent to toil making the very machines, the Death Star components, that she was trying to defend, the ultimate indignity for a true believer in the Empire. Denise Goh was shocked when she read Dedra's Season 2 fate in the script, but she came around to seeing it as just. Dedra becomes one more expendable cog in the system she devoted herself to. This also gave the show an opportunity to revisit the Narkina set with a new perspective. Number 52. Andor Season 2 has no qualms about exploring the darker side of its heroes too. Saw Gerrera, for instance, goes to extremes, which leads him to mistrust his fellow rebels. This kind of rebel-on-rebel mistrust is something we haven't seen depicted so openly before. Gilroy said he was excited to get into the original gangsters of the rebellion, fighters like Saw who don't see the dream the same way. It's a big reason Andor feels so nuanced. It's not rebellion equals good guys, empire equals bad guys in simple terms. We witness infighting, egos, and moral compromises on the rebel side. That makes the eventual unity, the alliance, all the more earned, and it makes characters like Saw tragic. We know by Rogue One he becomes so extreme he splinters off entirely and becomes so paranoid or lost in the Raido that he doesn't quite fit in with the rest of the Rebel Alliance. Andor shows those seeds being planted. Number 53. The show pays off Cassian's personal quest that started in Episode 1, finding his lost sister. In Season 1, Marva tells Cassian to stop looking for his sister because it's a hopeless pursuit, implying she likely died died on Kenari. Many fans suspected this plot thread was dropped, but it comes back in Season 2 in an unexpected way, in Cassian's drive to come back and save people. So you see, Gilroy expressed in an interview that this plot thread may not need to be resolved in the first place, saying, "We all carry things that are unresolved, that motivates us in interesting ways." So I think how his childhood motivates him is far more interesting to me than closing some circle of mystery. Number 54. The Andor Season 2 finale delivers an emotional gut punch. It's revealed that Bix Caleen has a child, and the father is implied to be Cassian Andor. In the closing montage, we see Bix finally safe from Imperial pursuit, living quietly on Mina Rao, which we see earlier in the season, holding a baby in a field of wheat. The child represents hope for the future, Cassian's legacy. But it's also tragic because Cassian will never know his son. Quote, "It makes it that much more painful," Gilroy said of this ending. Bix left Cassian in Season 2 once she discovered she was pregnant, knowing that if Cassian knew, he might not devote himself fully to the cause. This final reveal was kept top secret during production. Adria Arjona filmed those scenes with a real infant on a closed set. The imagery intentionally echoes classic cinema. Some have compared it to the ending of Children of Men, hope lying with the next generation. It's a bold choice that underlines Andor's theme. Even in the darkest of times, life and love endure, though often with a cause. Number 55. Tony Gilroy wanted Andor to end on both a note of hope and a note of irony. "For all the harshness of the show, it would be a crime if I didn't pursue some hope at the end of it," he said, discussing Bix's final scene with the baby. "The hope is obvious. A new life, free from the Empire's shadow for now. The irony is brutal. Cassian's sacrifice in Rogue One saves the galaxy, but at the cost of his chance to ever see his child grow up." Gilroy loves these kinds of layered endings. See his film Michael Clayton for another ambiguous victory. He also noted the visual echo they created. Bix holding her child and looking at the horizon intentionally mirrors Luke Skywalker watching the twin suns on Tatooine. A Star Wars poetic image of yearning and hope. By giving a civilian character like Bix that twin sun moment, Andor essentially says the torch of hope isn't just for Skywalkers and Jedi, but for everyone, even the ordinary mechanic from Ferrix. Number 56. The final scenes of Andor lead directly into the events of Rogue One. In fact, the series could be watched as a 24-chapter prelude to Rogue One for a seamless megastory. Without spoiling every detail, the last episode of Season 2 shows Cassian departing on a mission that hardcore fans will recognize is heading towards the Rings of Kafrene, where Cassian first appears in Rogue One. Gilroy ensured that there's essentially no gap left. Andor dovetails right up to the moments before Cassian's introduction in the film. This kind of tight continuity is uncommon in TV spin-offs. Even Rebels left some buffer before Rogue One, but Gilroy was intent on Andor being a complete story of Cassian from start to finish. Rogue One co-writer Gary Whitta even said he hopes one day Disney might edit Andor and Rogue One together into one giant supercut for fans to binge, though that's just wishful thinking for now. I'm pretty sure a fan will do a supercut, just like they have of Ahsoka and Kenobi and other series. You know what I'm talking about. Number 57. Notably, Andor refrained from cheap cameos or fan service in its finale. There was speculation that a young Jyn Erso might appear or be referenced since Saw Gerrera was active and Jyn was with Saw around 4 BBY, but Gilroy shut that down, feeling it would be disrespectful to shoehorn Jyn in just so they can wink at the audience. Andor's stories tightly focus on Cassian and the ensemble around him. Any cameo that didn't organically fit was avoided. Gilroy even joked that one major legacy cameo he allowed was R2-D2, and that was only as a tiny Easter egg. An R2 unit can be seen rolling in the background at the Yavin base in the final episode, not explicitly identified as R2-D2, just the same model. He wanted to keep the show's world immersive and not break the narrative spell for, "Hey, it's that character" moment. Fans largely appreciated this discipline as it kept Andor tonally consistent and earned its emotional beats without relying on nostalgia. Number 58. Tony Gilroy has a hidden cameo in the series finale. In one of the last episodes, as an Imperial officer announces something over a PA system, the voice you hear is actually Tony Gilroy's. He slipped into the recording booth to provide the voiceover and modulated his voice a bit to sound Imperial. Gilroy did this partly for a laugh and partly as a Hitchcock-style signature. The showrunner makes a tiny appearance in his creation. Most viewers wouldn't notice, but production folks got a kick out of it when the credits rolled and they saw Gilroy listed as Imperial announcer voice. Gilroy quipped in an interview that he's not interested in a real acting career, but hey, he's now technically a Star Wars character by voice. Number 59. With Andor completed, Tony Gilroy bids farewell to the galaxy far, far away, at least for now. He spent 5 years on this project. Writing began in 2018, Season 1 shot in 2021, Season 2 in 2022 to 2023. Gilroy said he had no idea what he was getting into when he first signed on, hinting that the enormity of making a Star Wars series was both daunting and exhilarating. Now that it's done, He's proud but also relieved to pursue other stories, such as the thriller film he's developing next. Amusingly, he joked that Kathleen Kennedy trapped him into the gig and that he tried to quit multiple times early on, but in the end he's glad that she didn't let him. Andor's success has cemented Gilroy's reputation as a top-tier storyteller, and Lucasfilm has certainly left the door open for him should he ever want to return. As of 2025 though, he's off to non-Star Wars pastures, leaving Andor as a completed, self-contained opus. Number 60. Andor garnered rave reviews and stands as one of the most critically acclaimed Star Wars productions ever. Season 1 earned a 96% critic score on Rotten Tomatoes, and Season 2 went even higher, at one point hitting 98% with critics. That's higher than any live-action Star Wars series to date. The show was praised for its writing, suspense, and performances, often being compared to prestige dramas like The Americans or Blade Runner in tone. It also notably appeared on several critics' top 10 shows of 2022 lists, an uncommon feat for franchise TV. Many reviewers said things like, you could remove the Star Wars branding and it'd still be a great political thriller. By proving a Star Wars story can succeed as slow-burn, adult-oriented drama, Andor broadened the franchise's creative horizons. Number 61. At the 2023 Emmy Awards, Andor achieved something no Star Wars live-action series had before: a nomination for Outstanding Drama Series. In total, Andor Season 1 scored 8 Emmy nominations, including Best Drama, Best Writing for the episode One Way Out, Best Directing, Ben Karen for the finale Rick's Road, and craft categories like cinematography, editing, score, Nicholas Britell, sound, and visual effects. Tony Gilroy called the Emmy recognition incredibly affirming, a huge vote of confidence. He noted that making a show this different within Star Wars was a gamble, so the nominations felt like vindication of that risk. Although Andor didn't win Best Drama, losing to Succession that year, the nominations themselves signaled that prestige TV gatekeepers took Andor seriously as art, not just sci-fi entertainment. It's a milestone for the franchise. Star Wars grew up, and the industry respected it. Number 62. Creator Tony Gilroy and star Diego Luna both expressed a mix of pride and emotional exhaustion as Andor wrapped. Luna said filming his final scenes as Cassian, which chronologically led right into Rogue One, was very emotional. I would go into tears many times a day on set, realizing this was the end of Cassian's journey for him. He's played this character across a film and series spanning almost a decade of his life. Luna also mentioned that Andor gave him the rare chance to say goodbye to Cassian on his own terms, something actors seldom get, since usually characters are one and done. Meanwhile, Tony Gilroy has been fielding questions about whether he'd ever do a Season 3. His answer is a firm no. The story's complete, and Season 2's ending is meant to directly dovetail into Rogue One with no loose ends. What would it be? Gilroy quipped about a hypothetical Season 3. Cassian shopping for groceries on Yavin? We're done. Both men are moving on, satisfied that they told a full, uncompromising story. Number 63. The legacy of Andor is likely to be its demonstration that Star Wars can excel in series drama. It expanded the franchise's tonal palette and proved that you don't need lightsabers or Skywalkers to create compelling Star Wars content. As one reviewer enthused, why don't people just make Star Wars like Andor all the time? The show's success has perhaps paved the way for more experimental projects. We already have the Acolyte and Skeleton Crew. Number 64. As I mentioned before, Andor was initially envisioned as a 5-season epic tracing Cassian's journey year by year. Showrunner Tony Gilroy revealed that during production of Season 1, amid the pandemic, he realized that the plan was impractical. I didn't have enough calories and Diego's face couldn't take the timing, he quipped, noting the years-long shoot would age the actor beyond Cassian's timeline. Thus, Gilroy dramatically compressed the story into 2 seasons, using the jumps to cover the same 5-year span more efficiently. This results in a tightly focused 24-episode saga that ends where Rogue One begins. Number 65. Andor's production boldly constructed a complete life-size Imperial TIE Fighter interior and exterior, something seldom done even in Star Wars films. In Season 2, the prototype TIE Avenger that Cassian hijacks was realized as a full-scale set, including a cockpit and hull that could support its own weight on the points of its wings. This allowed actors to film inside an authentic TIE Fighter environment. The TIE Avenger's massive set piece reflects Andor's commitment to practical effects and tangible sets, lending scenes a level of realism and immersion that green screens alone can't match. Number 66. That Imperial TIE Avenger in Andor Season 2 isn't an invention of the writers. It's a revival of a starfighter first seen in LucasArts' classic 1994 TIE Fighter PC game. The series creators pulled this obscure elite TIE from Star Wars Legends lore and brought it into official canon for Cassian's daring escape. Number 67. Additionally, the production design even took inspiration from Kylo Ren's TIE Whisper from The Rise of Skywalker when refining the Avengers look. By featuring the TIE Avenger, Andor not only delighted eagle-eyed fans from the 90s game, but also blended a bit of sequel-era aesthetic into the original trilogy timeframe. Number 68. The starfighters that chase Andor after he steals the TIE Avenger are TIE Advanced prototypes. These models were first seen in the Star Wars Rebels episode Empire Day. Honestly, it's nice to see these come back because it does connect to the wider Star Wars universe in a way that makes sense, seeing as Rebels is literally in tandem with what's happening in Andor. Number 69. When Andor lands on Yavin with the TIE Avenger, the set used is one of many returning sets from the previous films in the franchise. In addition to Pinewood Studios, Andor Season 2 used Longcross Studios in England, which was last used to build the Millennium Falcon, the Ahch-To tree, and the Canto Bight Casino entrance sets from The Last Jedi. Number 70. The Andor writers invented a bit of cultural world building in Season 2. The Mayape rebels on Yavin play a game called Five Hands to resolve internal arguments. The game, essentially a Star Wars twist on rock, paper, scissors, was created by Tony Gilroy's son, Sam Gilroy, who also acts in the show. Five Hands uses 15 different hand gestures, like Rancor or Snoozebird, and is played in 3 rapid rounds. Sam Gilroy devised the complex rules and fun alien gestures, which we briefly see as rebels Bente and Gertis face off in the jungle camp. It's a tiny detail, but it adds realism. Even freedom fighters have downtime in quirky games, and it was born from a Gilroy family dinner conversation rather than any existing. Number 71. While in the jungles of Yavin with the Mayape rebels, the group is attacked by a creature called the Yavinian Dudar, which is hippo-like according to the production designers. The name of the creature comes from its designer, Alexander Dudar. Number 72. Andor Season 2 contains a playful visual Easter egg during its space scenes in Dakar. In homage to the famous Empire Strikes Back trivia, where ILM used painted potatoes as asteroids in the 1980 asteroid field sequence, Andor's VFX team actually hid a few CGI potatoes among the asteroids orbiting Dakar. FX supervisor Scott Pritchard explained that they got some potatoes and shot camera footage of them to create digital asteroids, a direct tribute to the old school ILM trick. It's a kind of blink and you'll miss it detail that connects Andor to the Star Wars practical effects heritage. Number 73. To depict the pivotal Gorman massacre in Season 2, the crew built Andor's largest ever set, even bigger than Season 1's Ferrix. The Gorman Plaza and surrounding city streets were constructed on Pinewood Studios' backlot, sprawling over 500 feet with multiple interconnected sets. Production designer Luke Hull noted, quote, "grew into streets off of streets, filling the entire backlot. The climactic protest-turned-massacre sequence took over a month to film, often in bitter cold. Tony Gilroy said the scale and extras involved demanded another 100% on top of the enormous Ferrix finale shoot from Season 1. Cast and crew even had to start some mornings defrosting the set's floors. The result is a harrowing, large-scale spectacle that truly earns its impact. Number 74. Like I mentioned, Gorman was built on the Pinewood Studios backlot, which is the same lot that housed the Jakku Village and Maz's Castle ruins from The Force Awakens, and Jedha City from Rogue One, among other sets in the franchise. Number 75. The tunnel that was used for the Gorman truck heist was located in the same area that would house the duel between Rey and Kylo Ren on the wreckage of the second Death Star for The Rise of Skywalker. Suffice to say, the lot is huge, and the Gorman set was indeed massive. Number 76. The Gore language was created by Marina Tyndall. There were 2 versions of the written language created, Gorel, which is basically High Gore, and Dixian, which is Low Gore. The 2 versions were named after graphic designers Elle McKee and Lauren Dix. Number 77. For the actual Gorman Massacre, there were about 350 extras, and they were all dressed by Michael Wilkinson's costume department. Number 78. Shifting locations back to Dakar, Saw Gerrera is found hiding on Dakar, a planet recognizable as the Rebel base from The Force Awakens. Andor shows Saw's partisans camping in Dakar's grass-covered bunkers well before the Rebel Alliance and the future Resistance makes it a headquarters. In a neat production touch, the show filmed Saw's secret camp at the exact same real-world location used for Dakar in the sequel films, a former RAF airbase at Greenham Common in England. By using the same bunkers and grounds seen in Episode 7, set decades later, Andor creates a subtle connection across Star Wars eras, depicting Dakar's war-torn legacy from Saw's rugged encampment to Leia's Resistance Command Center. Number 79. Looking at the X-Wings at Saw's Dakar base, you can see that the camo is updated for Andor Season 2, reflecting the designs of how they appeared in Rogue One. Number 80. The McLaren Group's Technology Center was used multiple times as a film location for Andor. In Season 1, it was transformed into Coruscant's transportation hub, while in Season 2, the OKX Thought Leadership Center, which is within the Tech Center, is dressed up as the ISB's operations room. Number 81. The Senate floor returns once again in Season 2, and with that comes Palpatine's center podium. This was recreated for Andor Season 2, with its art department referring to the podium as the taco shell. I mean, just look at it. Number 82. Valencia, Spain served as an ideal shooting location for some key scenes in the show. Some examples include the scene where Luthen and Lonnie meet, which is filmed under a bridge in Valencia, Davos Sculdun's party space, which was filmed at the Vestibule Principal, and the flashback sequence with Clea and Luthen at a marketplace, which was shot at Zativa Castle just outside Valencia. Number 83. Andy Serkis' character Kino Loy became a breakout favorite in Season 1 for leading the Narkina 5 prison break, and his ambiguous fate left fans hoping he might return for Season 2. But Season 2 doesn't feature Kino, and Tony Gilroy has stood by that choice. He considers Kino's arc, rousing the prisoners and likely dying in the escape attempt, a perfect tragic crescendo for the character. Andy Serkis dropped the mic, man. "What am I going to do that's better than what we did with Kino?" Gilroy said, resisting the temptation to bring Kino back just to please the audience. Leaving Kino's ultimate fate off-screen preserved the power of his sacrifice and keeps the focus on Cassian's journey. Number 84. Since we did mention Narkina 5, we gotta talk about some of the details that I forgot to mention early on. One ingenious detail in Andor: the prisoners on Narkina 5 developed their own covert sign language. In episode 8 of Season 1, Cassian notices inmates on other factory sky bridges flashing hand signals to communicate news and plans across the vast room. Those gestures weren't random. The actors and creators actually worked out a basic code for the prisoners' sign language, conveying messages like, "Did you hear about the new sentencing directive?" which is when they're discussing the Empire's Pord Law. This detail underscores the realism of Andor. Oppressed people find ways to resist and share information under the eyes of captors. It also foreshadows how Cassian later coordinates the prison break. Number 85. Luthen Rael's right-hand woman Clea became a fan favorite for her cool demeanor and secretive zeal, but the role nearly went very differently. Tony Gilroy revealed that 2 different actresses were cast as Clea early on, only to drop out for bigger projects. With time running short, casting director Nina Gold suggested relative unknown Elizabeth Dulau, a recent drama school graduate with no major credits. Dulau won the part and impressed everyone. In fact, her performance was so compelling that Gilroy greatly expanded Clea's role in Season 2, even making her a central figure in the finale. It's a case of the perfect casting arriving by chance, turning a once minor character into a crucial player in Andor's endgame. Number 86. Unlike other Star Wars entries, Andor is sparing in overt Easter eggs, but one locale is an exception: Luthen's Gallery on Coruscant. The shop's set is filled with subtle Star Wars artifacts, like a Jedi Temple Guard mask, holocrons, and even what looks like Indiana Jones's Sankara stones. Interestingly, Tony Gilroy had no idea about many of these at first. He says that the art department sneaked in all that crap as background dressing. The Easter eggs were the brainchild of the prop and set team, not scripted references. Gilroy was surprised and amused to later notice fans exploding with excitement over items in the gallery. It was a way for the crew's deep geeks at Pinewood to pay homage without distracting the storytelling, and it rewards eagle-eyed fans on rewatch. Number 87. The radio that Clea uses in the back room of Luthen's gallery takes inspiration from old telephone operator switchboards. In addition to that, the production team refers to this radio as a fractal radio. Number 88. By the later episodes of Season 2, Cassian Andor is living on Yavin 4 with a small band of rebels, and their home life is surprisingly rowdy. Tony Gilroy describes Cassian's makeshift base at Yavin's jungle outskirts as a frat house. Cassian shares a dwelling with his buddy Melshi, the prison escapee from Season 1, and who we see in Rogue One, and the reprogrammed droid K2SO, and according to Gilroy, it's kind of a mess. They're playing cards and they're drinking too much. This slice of informal camaraderie shows Cassian finally relaxing among friends, however briefly, before the final missions. It's a rare glimpse of the rebels' off-duty life and confirms K2SO becomes Cassian's roommate, hinting at the chemistry we see later in Rogue One. Number 89. The game Rianza, played by Andor, Melshi, and K2SO in Cassian's home on Yavin, was invented by the Andor art and graphics team. Graphic designer Elle McKee designed the game's tiles and even developed a complete set of rules. Rianza draws inspiration from both ancient mahjong sets and classic dominoes. Number 90. Within the Star Wars universe, the hospital that Clea infiltrates in her mission to literally kill Luthen, is named after Chancellor Lina Soh, a character originally introduced in the High Republic books and comics. Additionally, the Lina Soh Medical Center set was one of showrunner Tony Gilroy's favorite locations across both seasons of Andor. Number 91. Several individuals of the grandmother alien species that Kleya pushes around in the hover chair in the hospital at Coruscant can actually be seen in Season 1 of Andor, sitting on a bench in Niamos. Number 92. The ISB SWAT ship sent in during the finale for Andor Season 2 might look familiar to those with keen eyes. That's because the design of the ship itself is a riff of the Lambda-class Imperial shuttle seen in Return of the Jedi. Number 93. Various flashback sequences fill in some much-needed backstory for Kleya and Luthen. One particular scene was filmed at Hever Castle in Kent, England, first used for a deleted scene in The Phantom Menace where Qui-Gon Jinn, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and Jar Jar Binks arrive at the Theed Royal Palace after escaping a waterfall. Was revisited for Andor Season 2. Though relatively unknown as a Star Wars filming location, it served as a backdrop once again for the galaxy far, far away. Number 94. Additionally, ILM returned to the Lake Como region in Italy, originally filmed by George Lucas in August 2001 for Attack of the Clones, to capture helicopter shots for Gorman and background plates for Naboo in Andor. Number 95. Andor may be grounded in a corner of the galaxy far from Jedi, but it still had to fit seamlessly into Star Wars lore. To that end, Tony Gilroy leaned on Lucasfilm's Pablo Hidalgo, the lore advisor, as well as an unlikely tool, Wikipedia. Wikipedia, if you don't know, is a tool one has to really learn how to use, Gilroy said, noting that he had to discern between film canon, animated canon, novels, and fanfiction when making creative choices. Gilroy would map out the timeline of canonical incidents relevant to Andor's characters, with Pablo's guidance, and use the online wiki to double-check obscure details. The showrunner, initially an admitted Star Wars outsider, effectively became a quick study expert in the lore, ensuring Andor added to the saga without breaking anything in continuity. And if you didn't already know, Wikipedia is basically a Star Wars wiki created and, managed by fans. I use it from time to time to see what Legends lore there is compared to the lore we have in the expanded universe right now. I just like going through different wikis, like the Halo Wiki, the Bionicle Wiki, and the Star Wars Wiki, amongst other wikis. Number 96. To boost Andor's exposure beyond the streaming audience, Disney did something unprecedented. It aired select episodes on its traditional TV networks. Over the 2022 Thanksgiving holiday, just after Season 1's finale, the company announced that the first 2 episodes of Andor would run on ABC, FX, Freeform, and be made available on Hulu for a limited time. This move aimed to hook new viewers who hadn't seen the show on Disney+. It was a response to Andor's relatively lower initial viewership compared to The Mandalorian, and it reflected Disney's confidence in the series' quality, essentially using a free preview on broadcast TV to drive people to watch the rest on Disney+. It's rare for a streaming original Star Wars show to get a network airing, underscoring how Andor was seen as something special worth showcasing more widely. Number 97. Andor made awards history for Star Wars when Diego Luna earned a Golden Globe nomination in 2023. Luna was nominated for Best Actor in a Television Series, Drama, at the 80th Golden Globe Awards for his portrayal of Cassian Andor. This marked the first time an actor in a Star Wars live-action series had been recognized in a major acting category at the Golden Globes. Although he didn't win, the award went to Kevin Costner. The nomination itself highlighted the industry respect for Andor's acting caliber, in contrast to earlier Star Wars TV efforts, which were usually bypassed for prestige awards. Luna called the nod an honor for the entire team, saying it validated the risk of making a different kind of Star Wars show. Number 98. Andor became the most Emmy-nominated Star Wars series to date, garnering 8 Emmy Award nominations for its first season. In July 2023, the Television Academy nominated Andor for Outstanding Drama Series, a huge prestige breakthrough for Star Wars on TV, alongside nods for writing, Gilroy's script for One Way Out, directing, Benjamin Caron's work on Rick's Road, cinematography, editing, sound, visual effects, and music. The show found itself in heavyweight company, competing for Best Drama against the likes of Succession and Better Call Saul. Quote, "It's difficult to celebrate amid a writer's strike," star Diego Luna told the press, "but I'm so proud." The Emmy recognition underscored that Andor wasn't just great Star Wars, it was acclaimed television, period. Number 99. In addition to critical accolades, Andor scored a win at the science fiction community's own awards. The series won Best New Television Series at the 2023 Saturn Award, which honor the best in sci-fi, fantasy, and horror. The award, announced at the 51st Saturn Award ceremony, recognized Andor, premiered 2022 in Disney Plus, as the top new genre series of the year. This put Andor in the fine company alongside past Saturn-winning shows like The Mandalorian. It also highlighted how Andor impressed die-hard genre fans and critics alike. Number 100. As Season 2 aired in 2025, Andor achieved an unprecedented streak of audience ratings on IMDb. In fact, the final 5 episodes of Season 2 each earned scores above 9.5 out of 10 from users, making Andor the only series ever to have 5 consecutive episodes rated 9.5 plus on IMDb. At one point, Episode 5, Who Are You?, held a 9.8 rating and was ranked among the top 10 highest rated TV episodes in IMDb's database. Even powerhouse shows like Breaking Bad never managed 5 in a row at that level. Fans were raving about the show's consistency and crescendo. The Prison Break episode One Way Out 9.6 and the finale Jedha Kyber Urso 9.6 are now regarded as all-time television highs. Number 101. Andor distinguishes itself with Nicholas Britell's original score, so it was a surprise and delight when the series finale wove in a familiar musical theme. At the very end of the final episode of the series, as Cassian heads off to his destiny, the show transitions to John Williams' iconic Star Wars fanfare, the end credits music from A New Hope. This moment, the first and only use of Williams' music in Andor, was a deliberate nod bridging the series into the original film era. Composer Britell confirmed that the cue was used to signal that Andor's story was now connecting to the classic saga. Number 102. Composer Nicholas Britell pushed Star Wars music into a new terrain with Andor's score, perhaps most memorably with the electronic Niamos, Morlana Club Mix, track in episode 7 of the first season. That upbeat dance song played during Cassian's vacation on the beach planet Niamos became an instant fan-favorite banger. Upon its release, Polygon cheekily proclaimed it the Song of the Year and joked that it could even give Taylor Swift a run for its money. Britell crafted the track to sound diegetically like something pumping out of an alien beachside nightclub, a far cry from John Williams' symphonies. The 1-minute 51-second song was officially released on the Andor soundtrack, and fans indeed put it on hour-long loops. And the song is also featured in several episodes in Season 2, albeit remixed a little, especially during Mon Mothma's Crash Out. Number 103. Along with Emmys, Andor earned recognition from professional guilds. The Writers Guild of America nominated Andor for Best Dramatic Series in 2023, a nod to the stellar work of Tony Gilroy, Dan Gilroy, and Beau Willimon on the show's scripts. The Screen Actors Guild Awards also nominated Andor's stunt ensemble for Outstanding Action Performance by a Stunt Ensemble, honoring the show's intense action sequences, like the Narkina 5 prison break, and across the pond, actress Fiona Shaw received a BAFTA Television Award nomination for Best Supporting Actress for her turn as Marva Andor. Number 104. Production on Andor Season 2 faced unexpected challenges due to the Hollywood labor strikes. In May 2023, showrunner Tony Gilroy ceased all producing duties on Andor in solidarity with the Writers Guild strike, after having finished the scripts. Some reports had mistakenly suggested that he was still working, but Gilroy clarified, "I discontinued all writing and writing-related work prior to midnight May 1st, following the WGA strike rules." Filming did continue under direct supervision, since the actors were under a different contract at the time, but certain post-production tasks were delayed. Additionally, the Season 2 shoot just managed to wrap before the SAG-AFTRA strike hit in mid-2023. Gilroy acknowledged that navigating these labor disputes while finishing the show was stressful, but praised his team for overcoming huge obstacles to deliver Andor on schedule. Number 105. In a rare honor for Star Wars, 2 episodes of Andor Season 1 became finalists for the prestigious Hugo Awards, which celebrate the best science fiction of the year. The Hugo Awards for Best Dramatic Presentation short form in 2023 included Andor's Episode 10, One Way Out, and the finale Rick's Road among its nominees. Number 106. Andor's tone and plot draw heavily from classic political thrillers and war films. Tony Gilroy took inspiration from The Battle of the Algiers, a film about guerrilla resistance to colonial occupation, and from the novels of Jean Le Carre, with their webs of spycraft and moral trade-offs. Perhaps most of all, Season 2 pays homage to Jean-Pierre Melville's Army of Shadows, about the French resistance in World War II. Gilroy incorporated these influences into Andor's DNA. The show presents rebellion not as a romantic adventure, but as a gritty, lonely fight in the shadows, echoing real historical insurgencies. The Gorman arc in Season 2, with its elegant city under occupation and rebels risking everything, is a direct nod to Melville's depiction of underground fighters in occupied France. By blending Star Wars lore with these real-world inspired sensibilities, Andor achieved a realism and gravity rarely seen in the franchise. Number 107. Andor didn't break viewership records out of the gate. In fact, early on, it was the least watched live-action Star Wars premiere. Nielsen data showed the show's initial weeks lagging behind powerhouse streaming titles like Dahmer, Rings of Power, etc. However, its audience grew steadily through strong buzz and critical raves. Those who did watch Andor became passionate evangelists, urging others to give it a try. By the finale, Andor was consistently in the streaming top 10 and had one of the highest completion rates of any Disney Plus series. Disney's unusual step of airing it on ABC and FX, which I mentioned in the previous fact, was a direct result of this word-of-mouth momentum, an effort to capitalize on critical acclaim and pull in the many Star Wars fans who hadn't tuned in yet. Over time, Andor built a reputation as a must-watch drama, and its viewership grew in the long tail, with many discovering the series well after its initial release. It's a case study in a show going from underdog to prestige hit through sheer quality and fan enthusiasm. Andor isn't your average Star Wars show. It's darker, slower, and way more grounded, and that's exactly why fans praise it. Well, that's all for 107 facts about Andor. What did you think about the show? If there were another era that Star Wars should cover in the Andor style, what would you want that to be? Personally, I'm thinking we need something set during the rise of the New Republic. If you like this video, don't forget to like and subscribe, comment down below if you have anything to say, and as always, thanks for watching.